But it was interesting because, she's a great example of looking at, uh, what I find is that after somebody's passed the first $1 million or £1 million, and whether it's US dollars or Canadian dollars or pounds, they're very similar because everybody's got the first goal. I want to get to 1 million. But
Yeah.
once you're past that, then the next milestones, every milestone that people look at has underlying issues beneath it. What I find is that business owners are pretty savvy. If you can see a problem, you can usually figure out how to fix it. You get resources or whatever. If you can't see a problem, but you know it exists. Again, you can still figure out. Now, you may not have the same precision if you can't see it, but you're pretty close and you can figure out those problems. The ones that I find that get people are the ones where you can't see it. You don't even know it exists, even while you're in the grips of the problem.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that cause heartache. And everybody thinks that once I'm past 1 million, everything's smooth sailing, but it's like, yeah, there's at 2 million, you get that. At 5 million, you get it again. As you're approaching 10 million, you get it again. And then there's this big chasm between 12 million and 20 million where it's almost like no man's land. You're too big for the structures you had at 10 million, and you're too small for the ones to afford the ones you're going to need as you approach 20. And so where we actually focus with people is on what are the underlying issues. And I mentioned to you before we got started, this book that I finished last year, and published, was um, it was 3 years in the making because it didn't take me long to identify, here's the problems that you have at each of the different zones. And we call them danger zones because it sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we have these danger zones, at 2,
Yeah.
at 5, at, just before 10, and again as you approach, 12 to 20. Then I couldn't figure out, well, yeah, but what are the common issues that they face? Because the problems were all different. So if somebody approaches 2 million, they're dealing with one set of issues. At 5 million, it's a completely different set of issues. And then between 8 and 10, again, it's a third set of issues. It's like, well, what do they have in common? We finally got a clue and figured it out years later. And here's what I discovered is everybody thinks that a business as it grows, it's all about the structures. You need structures for the business. And the truth is you're right. You do. You need structures to support the people in the growth of the business. And every size, you always need structures. And so then people start thinking, well, people come and people go, but the structures are here to stay. I'll focus on the structures. The problem with that is that it's half right.
Hmm.
So you're in a situation where, yeah, you need different structures, or you need to focus on your structures, but the structures are all going to change.